So you have to be doing this in the moment, right? You're entering this all in YNAB.
I have a spreadsheet and that I keep track of all that. And then the next day, this is kind of part of it for me. I do my accounting and it's very nerdy. And then I have like a record. Like I'll have friends who are like, hey, can I get my like stats for the year? And I'll select all the transactions and export them into a CSV and send it to them and be like, oh yeah, you won this much or you lost this much.
So this is like your end of the month bubble bath ritual.
Very much.
Got it.
Yes.
How you make it, how you wanna make it, how you make it, how
You are not alone.
No, you are not. Friends, welcome back to another episode. Today, we're talking through Ben's categories.
Yeah, my turn. Let's
Your
go.
turn. About 4 weeks ago, I went through my categories, and then we took a break. We did the emergency fund, the phases of emergency fund category or episode. And now we're going to give Ben a shot to walk through all of his categories, because it's been a while since we've gone through our categories. But the other thing that I'm thinking here, besides seeing an updated plan from Ben, during my episode, I had a feeling, a sense that you were getting some ideas. You kind of liked the way I was doing some things, and
Yes,
you're like,
that's
I
true.
should do that with my plan. So I'm super curious. Did you make any changes? Because you always talk about this kind of stuff.
No, of course I didn't make any changes.
Oh, okay.
But I'm still thinking about it. I think the biggest one, I think the biggest one was possibly separating out all my yearly subscriptions, because I have them all in one category right now, and it does cause confusion sometimes. So that was what I was thinking about doing. And I still like the idea. I just haven't done it yet. But I really should try. You know what I should do? After this, I should just do an experiment, create a little group with all those, see how it feels, and then I'll just. I think it's sometimes what I have to do. I have to be like, I'm just going to try this out, and then I end up like keeping it. So.
Or maybe that's just your thing. You say you're going to change something in your plan, but you never do.
It's definitely my thing. Yeah, you might find my categories are pretty similar to the last time. Although, I don't know. I things change slowly, so they might be different. I don't remember, so we'll see.
All right.
But I think it's going to be fun. Okay.
Well, take it away.
Yeah, well, we're just going to go top to bottom. So total number of categories. What did I say? It was higher than I expected. Yeah, 93 categories. Okay. And you're going to see some of these are like not like they're kind of duplicates because of, well, it's not like 93 categories I use like regularly, but a lot of them, yeah, definitely I do. So that was high. I feel like last time it was like in the 70s. Like I feel like it was lower last time.
I can't even remember, but when you sent that number over, I thought it was high as well.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow,
Yeah.
90. Okay.
It was definitely higher than I thought. So that was interesting. And yeah, several groups. So we'll start at the very top with my holding categories. So this will get into some process stuff. Mostly what this is money that I put into a category that hasn't been assigned yet. And it's just waiting for a meeting with Caitlin, with my wife, to talk about where we want to put that money. So really that's what this is.
Right. You don't want to leave that money in ready to assign.
Yeah.
So you put it in one of these holding categories. You make decisions about it later on.
Exactly. Yeah. And they're all kind of the same, but they also have a little bit of separation, because if depending on where the money came from, we might change how we assign it. So BMI is a very useful thing. So I got budget meeting items. That's what I call it.
This has been consistent for every category episode we've done. Like you've had this pretty much, it feels like, since the beginning of your YNAB time.
Long time. Didn't even give it a second thought at this moment to not use the B word here. but I have, right? It's still there. I'm not going to change the name of that category.
That's funny.
I can't do that. So yeah, this is just a place for any extra money. And it's usually like... just like weird, like refunds or like money from grandma, like just anything that goes in there. I also use this as kind of a catch-all, like procedural, like sometimes I'll assign transactions to this when I know like there's going to be a refund or something. Like it just doesn't really fit anywhere else. And it's just kind of like a helpful procedural thing. So I put a lot of money there. Like for example, if I get like an inflow and I don't want it to show up in my reports as income, I'll put it into BMI and it'll show up there, right?
Got it.
So stuff like that. So there's that. And then margin is, okay, so this is a concept that I've talked about before. I have my targets that I set, and then I have my income, right? So my cost to be me. And I like it to be, I like the total amount of my targets to be less than my income. And the difference is what I call our margin, right? And it used to be $300. Like I used to just keep it. $300 is the amount of money that I want, like a buffer between those things. Now it's actually a lot more because as our income has increased, we haven't increased our targets as much. And I kind of like having a good amount of money to decide what to do with. So it's actually closer to like $1,000 now because we dropped childcare stuff. We had major changes and I just haven't really increased targets systematically to get to back to 300, and I like it where it's at now. So so what I do is I sign all the money into next month. Actually, I do 2 months ahead for me, and anything that's left over goes into margin, and then we decide in our budget meeting what we're going to do with that money. That's what that is.
How often is that budget meeting with you and Caitlin?
Once a month, or sometimes more often if we have like for example, we got like a bonus and we want to assign that money, we would do that. So, but yeah, it's typically once a month, usually at the beginning of the month. Sometimes it doesn't even happen at all in a month and we'll kind of like double up on it, you know, but yeah, typically once a month is the idea.
And then after the budget meeting, are those categories empty?
Yeah.
It's all dispersed elsewhere.
All dispersed,
you're never, like specifically with margin, you're not rolling any of that over from month to month.
No, it all gets dispersed. If it doesn't, we tend to start eating it, you know, grabbing it here and there. So I like to assign it as soon as I can. So
makes sense.
And then bonuses is specifically for bonuses and extra paychecks. Like we just had, we have an extra paycheck this month. That's going to go into bonuses, right? So, yeah.
Okay, so talk me through the extra check because, I'm in the same boat. Do you use the first check as the extra or is it the last check?
I use the first check. In fact, actually, for me, this is really in the weeds, but so we get paid every 2 weeks at YNAB. So twice a year, you get a 3 paycheck month instead of a 2 paycheck month, right? And I kind of plan my targets based on 2 paychecks. So yeah, you guys get this. If you are paid biweekly, you know about this. You get that extra paycheck and it kind of feels like a bonus and I treat it like a bonus, right? But for me, it really was last month that was the 3 paycheck month because weirdly, we get paid on a Friday, but weirdly my bank gets the money into my bank on Wednesday. And so it was like the 31st of January or whatever, or of December.
That is so weird. I will admit there are pay periods where I'm like, it's Wednesday. And I'm like, oh, Ben's getting paid today.
Yeah.
And I have to wait 2 more days.
I don't know what it is. Cause I know like they do the processing for payroll on a Wednesday to get it ready for Friday. And I guess my bank's super fast. And I think that's how they actually advertise themselves. Like, oh, you get paid 2 days early. And I'm like, okay, so you get paid 2 days early and then all the paychecks just shift and it doesn't make a difference to you. But anyway, so for me, last month was the 3 paycheck month. And I guess it was technically the last paycheck of the month that went to bonuses. So there you go. So I guess I do the last paycheck of the month. I think it's like once that second month is filled, I'll consider that extra one the bonus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Disciplined Ernie wants to use the last check.
Right.
Because I've always felt like, and if I use that first check as the extra, I'm a little more kind of, let's kind of willy-nilly, kind of doing whatever, just kind of running on vibes all month. But if I wait till the last, then, I don't know, I feel like I'm a little bit more dialed in.
Totally.
And then that third paycheck can go specifically do what I'm thinking, to what Christy and I are thinking. But a lot of times I just can't wait, and I use that first check as the extra one.
So the bottom line for this is just places where I stick money where that's waiting for me to talk to my wife about it. That's all it is, really. All right. Moving on to frequent. So the idea of frequent is these are categories that we take money out of, we spend money out of randomly. Like they're not on a set date at all. So all's good on the list. And these are all in alphabetical order by group. Okay. So that's how we do it. Babysitting. We have a babysitter once a week. So we do that. Bessie incidentals. Bessie gets $20 a month for toys and treats. And we don't really spend it very much. Like, honestly, $20 isn't even enough to like buy like a single dog toy these days. I feel like, you know.
Yeah. I'm like, whoa, $20, man. How do you do that? But
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And so I often pilfer this category because I don't know, Bessie's fine. She doesn't need much. So we don't really spend a lot on her.
Ridge is a lot more needy, it sounds like.
Bessie she is the calmest, chillest dog I've ever met. She's not the brightest dog in the world, and she's pretty content she doesn't play with toys that much. So I don't know. And then her sister, well, I call her a sister. It's my sister's dog. Pepper comes over. And as soon as Pepper comes over, all the dog toys are out, and like Bessie's playing with dog toys all of a sudden. But like, I don't know. It just doesn't occur to her to play with anything. So I don't know. Don't get a lot there. Books and education. We actually don't fund this every month, but if there's ever like some kind of an educational thing we want or a book, we'll put money in there and do it that way. Diapers. Still doing diapers. I'm so close, Ernie. So close.
Man.
So we're not doing like diapers. We're doing pull-ups still for nighttime. But I've got a 3-year-old and he still does pull-ups, which is, you know, as to be expected. But I feel like we're on the precipice of deleting this category, which is going to be a moment.
Yeah. Well, what's the new category going to be then? Is it going to be braces?
Yeah, probably. But it's actually gotten pretty low now because all we're doing is buying pull-ups for one kid. I mean, so we got 4 kids. So we've had that diapers category for 12 years now, basically, continuously. I don't think there's ever been a moment we haven't had diapers or pull-ups.
I remember when we were able to get rid of ours, it felt good. It definitely didn't feel like free money because I knew, okay, there's going to be another new expense right around the corner, but it was just kind of fun for a different expense, different kind of, some sort of change.
Yeah, I'm not so worried about getting the money back as just like the symbolism of deleting the diapers category. That's a moment, right? So we'll get there. I need to like, you know, I'm not really like trying to get my 3-year-old to not wear a pull-up at night, but I need to like start incentivizing him like, oh, you get a treat if you have a dry pull-up or something, you know. We need to start move in that direction, but we'll get there. Entertainment is just like family entertainment stuff. So if we're by ourselves, if Caitlin does something on her own or with a friend, she would use her personal spending. I would do the same. But if we go out and do something as a family, like for example, we went to a arcade bar called Super Rad in my town. It's the best name. It's so great.
That is super rad. That is super rad.
And yeah, so that was $10 for admission. I brought 2 of my kids and we paid $30 for that. That went to entertainment, right? Makes sense. Gas, obvious. Groceries, obvious. Kid dates. This is kind of cute. So we got 4 kids. So attention is divided, right? And so Caitlin and I want to have like special attention on one kid regularly. So we take turns. She'll go out with one on her own with one kid, and I go out on my own with another kid. And if we'll go like bowling or we'll go out to eat or something like that. And we take from kid dates for those.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And this is where I appreciate the intentionality of YNAB. You put that category in there, you fund it every month. You're going to be reminded, oh yeah, this is a priority to me.
Yeah.
And you're going to make that happen. If it's not a category, you're not actively setting money aside for it. It's easy just to get lost in kind of the flow of life and forget about those things.
Yeah. And I'm sure, you know, Ernie, like if you have a big family, kids really value that a lot. So that's big. Then kids stuff. This is we've had this for a long time. It is a catch-all for anything the kids need. It's just random, right?
Yep.
Clothes and I mean anything. It's just a big grab bag there. Medical. This one's interesting because we do have an HSA. And I'm not one of those people that invests the money in the HSA. I am one of those people that spends the money out of the HSA to get the tax break on it. So all the typical health stuff comes out of the HSA. But if there's anything that you can't use an HSA for, that's kind of medical-ish, we'll put it on there. So,
Got it.
and like it's like supplements and things like that would go on there. Photo book business. So my wife Caitlin has a business that is a little dormant right now. She's not doing a whole lot right now, but every once in a while she'll take a customer where she makes photo books for people. She loves it. It's super cool. In fact, I saw one of our coworkers got certified in this recently.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look.
Sasha.
Yeah, it was Sasha. That's right. I'm gonna look that up. Was it in Office Wall? She said that. Yeah. Sasha said she was certified in this, which is really cool. So I was like, I didn't know that was the thing. I showed that to my wife right away. So anyway, she loves doing it for ourselves. She does one for my mom every year for a Christmas present. And yeah, she does pretty good. She likes that. So that really right now that just pays for Adobe Illustrator, I think is what she uses to do all that, and some software. And then whenever she gets paid, it goes into there first. So.
And no emoji on that.
Yeah,
category.
that's funny. I don't know why. We just never.
I need some consistency here, but
there's a couple categories of no emoji on it. One I have an explanation. This one, I don't know. We just never added.
Well, and then
one.
you have one emoji on a lot of categories. Some have multiple.
Oh yeah, I got like 5 on one of them. You're gonna freak out. So, yep. And then we got 2 restaurants categories. This is for dining out. One's for dates, one's for family. I've talked about this before, so I won't belabor it too much. But we had one restaurant category, and we would like to go out with the kids. Maybe like twice a month, we'll take them out. And we felt like that was like eating all of the restaurants category, and it was hard to keep track. So we separated it into dates and family. So dates is just me and Caitlin going out. Family is all of us going out. But we kind of mix between these two. Like I freely move money between them without worry. It's just so I can kind of keep track of the vibes there, really.
Did you feel like when you separated those, you ended up spending more? Like you increased the target a little bit more on both of them?
Yeah.
Or maybe on one of them?
I think we did, actually. I think it was part of, we wanted to increase dining out overall, and we did, and we separated it at that point just to kind of make sure we protected the dates a little bit, so.
I found that a lot where I separate categories because I want to get a little bit more prioritization. Mm-hmm. I always end up needing to put more money in either one of those or both.
Well, it makes sense because it's like, well, we don't like maybe the reason why you separate it out is like, you're like, I don't have enough for both these things. Then you realize,
exactly.
Well, I need more for both these things. Right.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what we ended up doing. And sundries. This is the category that's got many names over the years. We had for a long time, it was miscellaneous, and then it was like miscellaneous household. Then I think it was household. Then I think it was miscellaneous again. And then I think Hannah had the idea for sundries. I think that was her thing. And you call this consumables, right?
Yeah, mine's taken a lot of different names over the years, and I forget what it is now.
I think sundries is just perfect because I remember I looked up the definition one time and it was like, oh, let me look it up again as I want to get this right. Sundries define various items not important enough to be mentioned individually. Right? That's the definition. Yeah. And I love that. That's exactly what it is. So it's just like cleaning supplies and soap and consumable items around the house. So
mine's all just rolled into groceries.
Yeah. That's right. You rolled that into groceries now. Yeah. But I remember.
But sundries, I feel like that's become a community favorite.
I think I like it.
There's been a lot of comments about sundries.
I like it a lot. I think it makes a lot of sense and it's cute too. So that's part of it. You want your categories to be cute, right? All right.
So that's all the frequent.
Any questions about frequent before we move on?
No, makes sense. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. And then we get to the bin stuff. So this is interesting. So for a long time, I just had Katy spending and Ben spending. And then Caitlin wanted to separate her spending money into multiple categories. So she created a group for it. And I was like, I don't need that. But then later on, I was like, oh, I see what you're doing here. And I started doing it. So you'll see Caitlin's is a little more complicated. But the way you think of it is none of these are actually funded except for the first 2. Ben spending is like the ready to assign for this group. Right. So you assign that and then you can disperse it into all these categories. Right. And I will say this is just like a little snapshot in time. Some of these you're going to find are very, very temporary categories. So we'll do that. All right. So I got Ben spending. That's just my general spending. I spend most of the money out of there. This is just stuff that I want to do that I don't have to talk to Caitlin about. Mostly it's dining out by myself. I do that a lot. And then this one's interesting. Ben Remote Work Fund. I don't know if we talked about this on Budget Nerds or not.
Yeah, I'm curious because I don't have any kind of remote work fund in my plan. Never even considered it. Like, what are you buying?
I proposed this to Caitlin, I think as a way to sneakily increase our spending money without actually, because I'm always wanting to increase the spending money for me and her. And she's like always resistant to that. She's like, no, we don't need that because I just spend it. I'm more spendy with it. So, but this is kind of a way to do this. So we have, we both work from home, me and Caitlin. And so we both have this category where if we want to go to a coffee shop one day and work there, and we can get a coffee or we could even get lunch out while we're working, it comes from this category, right?
Okay.
And they both get $50 a month, and it's a top-up category. So if we don't use it, it gets rolled up into the next month. So it's kind of a use it or lose it thing. And it's kind of nice. Caitlin really liked it. I really like it. Because Caitlin does this a lot more than me. She goes out, like she's gone right now. Who knows where she doesn't want to sit next to me, I guess. I don't know. No, she's out at a coffee shop working right now. So she's using that. There you go.
And are you finding that both of you are pretty much using it every month?
Caitlin,
like all the way down to
uses
zero?
All the way to zero. I don't always. And I need to. I need to like be a little more proactive because I'm losing like $10-20 a month sometimes. So yeah, I need to go for it. But yeah, I like it a lot. It's nice.
Yeah, that's where that refill up to, it can be really, really motivating.
Yeah.
Because it is use it or lose it. Where, with my personal money categories, I'm always, it's set aside another, right? Because I don't want to lose that money. I want it to build up over time. But, this would incentivize you two to actually get out, get some of that alone time.
It's really a big psychological thing. It's like, we want to do more of this. And yeah, if you put it in there and say like, you're going to kind of lose this money if you don't use it, it kind of gets you out there. So I think it's good. And then Ben clothing, we have separate clothing categories which get funded separately. So that mostly just fills up until I need underwear or something. So that's pretty much all it is there. Or shoes. Oh man, I go through shoes like crazy. I don't know. It's annoying. My shoes all.
How often?
Well, I don't know. Not that often.
I'm buying a pair of shoes like once a year.
Yeah.
So compared to that,
it's probably like that for me, but I'm always annoyed. Okay. I think we don't have enough. I don't think we have enough in clothing. I want to make that case because I always feel tight there,
Christy and I just realized this in our own plan a few months ago.
Yeah, I think my more frugal mindset from earlier on in my life has continued in clothing, and I'm like
absolutely
want to be a little more bougie about clothing. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, then we got some poker stuff. I got lots of poker stuff here.
I see that
because this is my main hobby. Well, I guess one of my main hobbies. I have friends over to play poker. I got John's buy-in and Matt's next buy-in. So I have one friend who wants to play poker, but money's a little tight right now. And so I told him I would take his next buy-in because I want him to come play. So I put money in a category so I wouldn't forget.
I love that.
And then Matt's next buy-in, my friend Matt is a handyman and he's a good friend of mine. And he came and helped me replace boards on my pool deck because they were falling apart and I didn't know how to do it. And he came and helped me do it. And he wouldn't let me pay him, even though he has a handyman business. So I was like, I'll get your next buy-in at poker. So,
all right.
That's sitting there. And then, I have my poker category. And this is always interesting. This is my most frequently used category. That like if you look at like purely the number of transactions, this category has by far the most transactions.
Interesting.
Because every time I have a poker night, I'll have like 15 or 16 people over, and all of them have a transaction for a buy-in. It's like they'll pay me and I'll give them chips, and then they have a transaction for a cash out. And some of them have multiple buy-ins because they lose, right? And then they buy in again. And so that's the way I keep track of my poker. Like I'm the banker. I take the money in, I send the money out. So I'll have like 30 transactions every time I have a poker night, right?
So you have to be doing this in the moment, right? You're entering this all in
I
YNAB.
have a spreadsheet and that I keep track of all that. And then the next day, this is kind of part of it for me. I do my accounting and it's very nerdy, and I go and I enter it all into YNAB. And then I have like a record. Like I'll have friends who are like, hey, can I get my like stats for the year? And I'll select all the transactions and export them into a CSV and send it to them and be like, oh yeah, you won this much or you lost this much, you know?
So this is like your end of the month bubble bath ritual.
Very much.
Got it.
Yes. And yeah, basically the difference between the two is what I won or lost that night, right? So it's very fun. So that's what I reconcile it against. I know what I won or lost, and I know if I got all the transactions in right, if it matches, right? So,
got it.
Pretty fun. And then there's a poker tip fund, so because I'm the banker, sometimes mistakes happen and I'm out money, right? Now, okay, I want everybody to know, like, we're not this sounds like high rolling situation. We play for 25-cent blinds. So, okay, this is like tiny stakes. I mean, for some of you guys, you might be like, oh man, that's actually a lot. But so we pay it's like a $50 buy-in, right? Is what we do. So it's not small, but it's not big either. But yeah, so if there's a mistake that's made, sometimes I have to like eat a $10 mistake that was made because like I gave them too many chips or something happened, you know. So my friends will give me a little extra at the end of the night, and I'll put it into this tip fund and I'll draw from that if there's a mistake. Basically an accounting error. So
got it.
All right, so that's all the poker stuff. And yeah, the poker category, I just keep a bunch of money in there, and I pretty much don't take money in or out. Like if I lose, it goes down. If I win, it goes up. And that way I don't have to fund it every month. It's just I've set money aside in there. Every once in a while, I might draw from it for something I want or put more in it if I feel like it's low. But yeah, that's the vibe there. Gaming is not really used very much because I usually just take it right out of my Ben spending category. But if I want to buy a video game, I'll put it there. Sometimes if I'm saving up for a more expensive game, I'll put it there. So there you go.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So you get your monthly amount that goes into Ben spending, and then it sounds like primarily it's either, eating out in that Ben spending category, or you put it to Ben clothing or gaming.
Well, clothing also gets funded every month. So those first three get funded every month. And then, and then the rest are not funded every month. So those are just ways to keep track of my own spending. So mostly I'm just spending out of Ben spending, and it's either, something I want to buy that's just for me or dining out or something like that. So, yeah.
Interesting. All right. I love it.
If you look at Katy's stuff, this next group, she has a lot more going on here. so I wish she was here with me because I can't. I don't know what all this is for. So, but we'll see. So yeah. So those first three get funded. Katy spending, Katy remote work fund, Katy clothing, and they're all the same amounts as me. Although I think she probably needs a little more for clothing than me. I don't know. I've often said like, why don't you just take more for clothing than I have? And she's like, no, it has to be equal. So,
well, you want more spending money. Maybe you do a little bit more extra spending money, and then she can do a little bit more extra in clothing, and still
that
even.
That could work. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like we could freely move money between clothing, and like I don't care if she moves money from her clothing for her personal spending, or vice versa. So that's the thing too. And then so Katy spending is her ready to assign for this group, and then she actually every month at the beginning of the month distributes stuff. So for me it's more like if I want to like hold on to money for some purpose, I'll do it, but I don't like systematically distribute it. She does. So she puts money into Katy Coffee here because she likes to go to coffee shops on her own, which is kind of funny because she will go to coffee shops while she's working, and that's remote work fun, right? But then she'll go to coffee shops like on her own, like every weekend we give each other a little time to just be away and be by herself, right? Yeah,
that's awesome.
So I often will like stay in my little office here and I'll play a video game or something by myself, and I'm fine with that. But Katy's like, I have to be out of the house. I cannot relax. That's what she's saying. If I'm in the house, so she always goes to a coffee shop, so she'll spend money out of there. Friend meals, she recognized she really wants to go out to eat with friends, and she wants to protect that money. So at the beginning of the month, she'll put money out for the friend meals. Beach birthday is a new one. She just asked me, her birthday's coming up in September, so a long time from now. But she's like, how would you feel if I like went to the beach for a few days, like maybe with a friend? I'm like, that'd be great. I think I'd totally support you. And she's like, okay, I just created this category in my personal group. And I'm like, I told her, I was like, she's like, you don't have to fund, like, she's thinking she's going to like fund that every month out of her personal spending, which is not a lot of money. I'm like, it's going to take a long time. I'm like, so we're going to have an argument about, we're going to fund that from the family money, but she's great.
I've had very similar discussions with Christy on various items.
Yeah, she often wants to fund things from her personal spending that, like, I totally disagree. I'm like, that is not personal spending. We can fund that. But she's like, she doesn't want to have a discussion about it. She's, you know what I mean? Because it's always, if it comes from the family money, it's like, you know, we have to weigh it against all the priorities. Yep. Right. But she just wanted to do it. So I don't know. I think she might save a little bit, and then some might come from the family there. We'll see. But yeah, so that's cute. Spend thrift bundle or spring thrift bundle. Oh, this is a cool thing. She found this woman that lives in town who has a business thrift shopping for you, like on your behalf.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is cool. And so she like told her about like what she likes, the colors that she's looking for, the kind of clothes she's looking for. And she did one, I think she paid her like $60, and she went out and got like $40 worth of clothes and so she takes the extra. Right. So, and it's thrift shopping. So she gets a lot of clothes out of it, and she doesn't have to like do the shopping herself because she doesn't have time. But she gets new clothes that way. So, and she does a really good job. Like this person knows what she's doing. So yeah, so I think that's probably what that's for. She's going to do it again in the spring. So
nice.
Yeah, kind of neat. CH Kitchen. I don't know. CH. Don't know what that means. So I'd have to ask her.
Some sort of kitchen remodel.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, this is what often comes up. Like she wants to do some like decorating around the house, and I'm like, this is family spending, but she doesn't want to talk about it. She just wants to do it. So I don't know. She's doing something there. Tea, she buys lots. She's like a big tea person. She buys lots of tea. Skincare, just random things. These are other things that I'm like, Kaylin, you don't just use your personal spending for this. But anyways, so I guess she does. And then I think she just has a catch-all various thing as she uses. So yeah, but I think the main things that get funded is the coffee and the friend meals, and then the rest are temporary or random things that she does.
And just thinking out loud here, all those things that you're like, hey, that needs to come out of the family pot of money. Being the budget nerd, kind of being the main driver of the software, you can always go in after the fact and create some sort of reimbursement transaction that moves money between the categories. And you're like, okay.
It's true. She wouldn't know. Although I feel like you can pull that off with Christy. Caitlin's like she's not as much of the nerd. She doesn't do the day-to-day, but like she'll notice if I move money.
Yeah, because she's in YNAB way more than Christy is.
Yeah, we're much more close on the nerd spectrum than I think you and Christy are.
Yeah, because I could totally pull that off with Christy. Make all these moves and be like, all right, I'm paying you back, and she doesn't have a clue.
She doesn't even know. I mean, I could probably find a way to do it, but yeah, she might notice. So then we'd have it. It's funny when you love someone so much, you have an argument about being nice to them. You know what I mean? It's sweet. All right. Anyways, okay. Next is giving. So this is just a group of different ways we give money. So compassion. I have had this category because Ernie and we had to talk about when we started YNAB, and it turns out you started YNAB before me.
I've been using it 6 months longer.
Yeah, you thought you started like a year after.
Yeah, I thought you were 2012.
Yeah, and you were like, oh, I just found out that I started this time, so you must have been earlier than you thought. And I was like, I don't think so. And so I went and I looked up my email from when I first started YNAB, and it was when I thought. So you started earlier, so that was funny. But I've had this category, compassion, since my very first plan back in 2013, which I didn't realize. I thought that that was a more recent thing. I've had it for a long time, but I've had it even longer than I thought. So this is a category just for random acts of kindness. It's basically giving, but not giving to any kind of institution or charity. So if I want to buy a friend a meal, right? Or like a friend has a baby and you want to bring them food, like that's where that would come from. Or if I just notice like there's a need in my community, like this person needs some help in my church or something like that, I can like give anonymously to that. So it's just like random acts of kindness. Or it's like I give money to like a panhandler or something like that. That's where that would come from, right?
I love that.
So yeah, and it's really nice just to have the money so you can be generous without having to worry like, oh, how am I going to categorize this? You have a category.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than wanting to be generous and then being filled with all that second guessing and like doubt. Yeah, you can just give it guilt free. And this is one of those other community favorites, I think. We've gotten a lot of comments about that compassion. I'm sure a lot of people use this. Yeah, they've copied it into their own plan.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people have, had something like this, not from me, but it's just like, it's a big thing for sure. Or like a big tip, if you want to give a big tip at a restaurant, to help that waiter or waitress out, like that's a good example too.
Love it.
So anything like that's random. Gifts and parties, I love this category because as the kids are getting older and are deciding to have friends, there's all these birthday parties all the dang time.
How dare them?
I know. And I have to like buy like a $30 gift for some kid I don't know.
But seriously, can we dial back the parties, people? Like they are out of control. We
don't need more plastic stuff. Like
exactly.
No more gifts. It's
my goodness.
It's crazy. I mean, like I'm fine with it if it's like a kid that I know, but like it's when like the whole class and like I've never met this family. I don't know. It's fine. I'm fine with it because I have this category. If I did not have the category, and there was a time when I didn't, finding the money for a random $30 gift for some random birthday drove me nuts. But anyways, it's nice to have that. So any birthday gifts or we also fund our kids' birthday parties out of this or our own if we ever do that. I haven't done that in a long time, but I am getting close to 40. So
maybe it's going to be a beach birthday for you on your 40th.
There you go. Yeah. So that's what that's for. Other giving. This is basically institutions outside of my church because I have my church category there. So we give some missionaries, our Humane Society, and a local anti-human trafficking charity that we give to on a regular basis. So those are just any places that we give that aren't our church. So
love it.
Then we got the church category there. So there you go. Yeah. Moving right along. Bills.
The fun ones. Right?
Yeah. So I took one from you. This is when I actually did change my categories. I used to have like a monthly bills and then like a separate bills, but now it's just anything that is a bill, even if it's yearly or every 6 months, wherever it goes in here. So this is just stuff where I know the amount's gonna be a certain. I know what the amount is going to be is pretty much the main difference, and it's on a regular cadence. Think of it that way.
Got it.
Right. Allowances. I have a whole complicated thing for my allowances, which I can talk about later, but the money starts here. I have no idea why I went with a little hedgehog emoji for this.
Interesting.
Why did I do that? I have no idea. I think I might have just picked one because I thought it was funny because I couldn't think of what to use for allowances.
Well, at least you know what it is. We had that one emoji on mine. We're like, well, what is that?
Somebody said it was a lever, I think. Yeah, random. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Yeah. Bessie food, because she gets a lot of
steaks. It looks like.
Yes. Yeah, all steaks for her. There she is. She's here sleeping in the background there. There you go.
It's 1:45 the top of the hour. Mail carrier should be coming by any moment now.
Yeah. They've been a little inconsistent lately, so who knows? They might come later, but we'll see. So yeah, and often when they come, they are bringing a giant box of Chewy food for her. So
right up to the front door.
And we actually changed that recently because we took her to the vet, and her weight has always been like super great. And then like we took the vet and they're like, yeah, she gained like a ton of weight over like the past like 9 months. And I'm like, what the heck happened? And turns out for a Great Dane, she's almost, gosh, is she 5? She's 5 now. So for a Great Dane, that's pretty old. And they're like, she's getting older. So that might be why. So we changed her food. She has senior dog food now at 5 years old. Can you believe that? Isn't that weird?
And I'm sure senior dog food is more expensive.
Well, it is. It's funny because it comes in a smaller bag, but so overall it's more expensive, but it's actually more regular because we used to get an order every 6 weeks. Now we get an order every 4 weeks. So it actually is a monthly bill now, as opposed to like kind of a weird random one. So I don't know. That's kind of nice. And we're feeding her a little less. She's just like starving all the time now. She used to like never... she used to like leave food, sometimes. Yeah. Now she's just like gobbling it up immediately. But she's losing weight. It's good. So she's going to get back on track here. Bessie meds. That's just for her regular medicine that we buy every 6 months, like flea and tick and stuff like that. And then we have car insurance, which I also pay every 6 months. And my favorite little emoji story there. Yep.
This has been on every single plan we've ever discussed.
Yes. I love it so much. I think it's cute. Whenever I teach YNAB, I'll often use car insurance as an example for a non-monthly expense. And I always do all the typing to put in all 3 of those emojis. So I think it's very cute and funny. Car taxes, so registration and property taxes for that. College funds. So yeah, this is definitely one of our biggest. It actually might be our biggest. Yeah, I think it is our biggest monthly category is going to college funds right now.
Okay, well, you got all the kids, right? You got to prepare for that.
Yeah, and we talked to our advisor recently, and he was like, "Yeah, you need to do a lot more to get to 50% of what tuition is." Although you're telling me like it actually wasn't as bad as you thought. Now that you got
not
kids going
at
college,
all, if they stay home.
Right, that's a factor for sure. Yeah. So we'll see how it shakes out, but we're saving for that, and that's our biggest expense. If you call it expense, is savings.
And so that money is, that's a monthly withdrawal.
Yeah,
right. That's not building up in that fund. You're investing that.
Going into 529. So, yep. All right. Then we have. I also love this category.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, what is going on there?
All right, fixed bills. So this is a group of categories. Anything that happens every month and is the same amount every month will go into this one category. So I got life insurance. That's the skull because it's really death insurance, which I think I'm so funny every time I think about that. Identity theft insurance, which is a thing. I think it's a thing everybody should get because I had to use it once. If your identity gets stolen, they'll like assign a caseworker to you to help you fix it, and they'll do all the work, right? Because sometimes it can be hundreds of hours of cleaning up a big mess, right? So I had that happen, and they were very helpful. So that was good. It was just like somebody opened a credit card in my name, and it was weird, but I had to get on the phone. Internet, recycling. The little swimmer is the YMCA membership that we have. And then a violin because we rent violins for my 2 daughters who play violin. And so we rent them every month because buying a violin for a 6-year-old, probably a bad idea because she might break it. So whereas the rental is like protected. So that's nice. Although I did just do the math just before this because I was like looking through it and I was like, because we're paying like $22 a month for violins, and she has it from like kindergarten. My oldest is in middle school and she's still renting a violin she's in orchestra. So I'm like, it's like from kindergarten to that, it's like $2,200. So I'm kind of like, dang, this adds up pretty quick.
Wow.
Yeah. My town has a really cool thing. We have a grant from like 1950. Like they've been doing this for decades where all the kids in the whole school district get free violin lessons, and we have a violin teacher at every elementary school in our city. And I think it's awesome because how often you get to like get free violin lessons. And yeah, but there's like this one violin shop in town that must be making bank because all these kids are renting a violin from them. They must be doing very well for a violin shop, right?
Totally.
But yeah, so that's a really cool thing. And it's pretty neat because we go to these concerts and there's like hundreds of kids on a football field playing violin together.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
That's
So,
a great program, it sounds like.
yeah, it's really, really wonderful.
So with the one catch-all category, you probably have to stay really in touch with any changes that are made. You know, because if a category, if an expense has its own category and there's not enough money, you overspend it. But, you know, if a rate changes here and you forget to put enough money in that category month after month, it can kind of shock you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, and I what I do is I have schedule transactions for this one. So I'll change the schedule transaction and it'll tell me like, hey, you're going to end up with not enough. It does that thing where it says, if all these schedule transactions run, you're going to end up in the red. So it'll show as yellow, which is nice.
Okay, got it.
So yeah, but these don't change very much. So it pretty much just goes along pretty easily. I think I have like $350 goes into that one category for all those things. So pretty good. All right. Homeowners policy, pay that once a year. Pretty boring. Although that one's not been as boring as I would like it to be. It's been going up and up and up every year.
Yeah, boring yeah, I totally know what you mean.
Oh man, yeah. Insurance is a wild world right now. It's definitely pretty volatile. So again, one of those escrow categories that came out after paid off the house and didn't have to have the escrow account. And it turns out I'm also bad at predicting what that's going to be. Mint Mobile, we use Mint for our phones. And what's interesting about them is you pay once a year. So I save up and pay that once a year for the whole year. Monthly subscriptions. So yeah, this is interesting because it used to be a lot like fixed bills where I know what all my Netflix and my Hulu and my Disney and all that stuff, all those subscriptions. If I pay it monthly, it goes on here. And I used to have it like exact. Now I actually increased it a little bit. So it's a little bit more flush. Like it has a little bit extra every month. And it's nice because then I can more freely like drop this subscription and add this other one, you know, because I think we're getting to the point now where that's kind of what you got to do because there's so many entertainment subscriptions. Yes. You can't keep them all at the same time. So I'll freely drop them and add some. And sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. So that's kind of nice.
Putting a buffer into our monthly subscriptions category it just made all the difference in the world.
Did I get that idea from you?
I don't think so.
Was it?
I just started doing that.
Yeah. It's really nice. Yeah. It adds a lot because we used to be like, if I wanted to add some random TV subscription, it was like a big freaking deal. Like we had to we're going to lower targets on something else.
It's like, come on, this is a $6.32 subscription.
I know, it shouldn't matter that much. Exactly. So having a little bit extra there has been nice. The power category that's the electric bill. And for me, I used to do the thing that you do, Ernie, where you like do the average throughout the year, and then sometimes it builds up, and sometimes you take it down as the bill fluctuates throughout the year. Now I just put it in for the max amount that I think it could be, and I do a top up refill up to target on that. So
and that makes sense because nice. I think your climate is a much more stable, a little bit more consistent. So there's not these massive swings.
It's not as big of a swing as it is for you, for sure. For sure. It is a pretty big swing though. Right now it's very expensive. So, and I don't think that's just because of the weather. I think it's also just electricity's getting more expensive right now. So that's a big thing. But I'm liking that. It's working so far. So, and it's nice because in the spring and the fall when it's not as expensive, I get a good amount of money back at the beginning of the month when I do that reduce overfunding thing. So that's kind of nice. Protein powder subscription. This is a brand new one.
I was going to say, I don't recognize this one.
Yeah. My doctor has told me I need more protein in my diet. And he was like super intense about it. And he told me a number of grams that I can't remember. It was like literally impossible to get that much protein. I don't know how you do that. So anyways, I've been thinking for a long time about getting a protein powder, little shake thing, and just did it for the first time this month. So I have a little subscription. It comes every month.
What do you buy?
Oh, it's like a random little, it's very, I couldn't even tell you. Let me look it up. Caitlin brought it up because we've been talking about it for a long time, but she's actually the one that's like, why don't we try this one? Let me look it up. It's called, wait for it. Ballerina Farm. It's like very bougie, like organic-y.
So is it something in Virginia there?
Yeah, I think it's nearby.
Okay.
I think it might be in North Carolina. But anyways, it seems very fancy, but it was expensive, so we set money aside for that in its own category. So we'll see. I might go to the cheaper stuff later on. I kind of just want to see, like, does it make a difference in how I feel, throughout the day? So liking it so far. Real estate property tax is what it is.
Doing it yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yes, another one of those escrow that I have to guess, and my city council is real volatile about the tax rate. Let me tell you, man, they are fighting all the time. So I have no idea what it's going to be ever. I just do my best. So there you go.
Is that once a year?
Okay. Yeah, once a year. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I can pay it in 2 installments, but I always just pay it as soon as it comes in, the full amount. So that's how I do it. Same way. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, reimbursable. This is a new one. Because we used to, the only time we would have reimbursable things for work would be when we travel. So I would just put it into the travel category. But Caitlin has a bunch of software that she's using now, like maybe 2 or 3 things that she has to ask for a reimbursement every month. And so I was putting in the technology category, but then the technology category was like empty for half of the month until she got a reimbursement, and I was just annoyed about it. So I created this reimbursable category, which is very helpful. So if you're one of those people that do reimbursements for work a lot, this is a great way to do it. Just have a category. I seeded it with some money one time, and ideally, if the cash flow works out, it should just roll.
Right, because it can get a little confusing if that category is negative at the end of the month. Is that what you wanted to avoid?
I want to avoid that. So yeah, because I want to have the money and not have this random overspending. Yep. So that's why I was using the technology category before. And then I was like, well, I can't buy technology stuff that I need because I'm waiting for this reimbursement. It was annoying. So yeah, so I put $100 in it, and it's a refill up to category. And I think it should work out to where we get refunded fast enough so it should just roll on its own. So nice. We'll see how that goes. All right. Retirement. I love these little emojis, 2 little old people.
So no early retirement, I guess.
Well, I mean, maybe, but when I made it, that was the idea, right? Is when you're old, and there you go. So, but yeah, technically retirement's not an age, right? That is important. So yeah, we put money aside every month for that. Umbrella policy. This is another insurance policy that's just like, if you don't know what it is, it's just liability over your car insurance and over your real estate or your homeowners. So if something really bad happened and somebody got really hurt and I'm liable for it, that would kick in if it overwhelmed those other policies. So it's kind of an extra, really not needed, but it's kind of a peace of mind thing. So that's nice. Water bill.
How often do you pay that?
Once a month, and it is auto drafted. I had to send a letter to the city.
That was quite the ordeal.
It was
the archaic city infrastructure.
It was the last bill that was not on auto pay, and now it is, and it's been that way for over a year now. So I love it. So I get the bill, and it says in red letters, "Do not pay, auto draft." I'm like, yes. So that's nice. Yearly subscriptions is anything that's a lot of software for that. Like our Fitbod, for example, I just paid that yesterday. And I know you use that.
I pay it monthly. That's one of those things, though. I think because I used it. I took a break, came back, and I was like testing the waters again.
Yeah, it makes sense to pay monthly.
But
in
at
that
this
case.
point, I'm fully bought into it. So I should just do the yearly, save a little extra money.
That's the workout app we use. Not a sponsor, but I've used it for, gosh, like 5 years.
I love
probably.
it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it just tells you what to do based on math and numbers and magic. I don't know. So you go in and it tells you what to do and you do it. So that's all there is to it. All right. Moving on. Any questions about bills?
No, I got a handle on them.
All right, good. Irregular. So these are things that we pay them at random times,
Whenever.
and they're random amounts, right? So these are these are also non-monthlies, but they are not predictable, right? Appliances. We've talked a lot about this category.
Sure have. How's that new refrigerator doing?
Oh, it's going
awesome.
Can I say it's new? Is it new?
It's
I've had
still
it for
new.
Years at this point.
Really? Has it been years? It feels
I feel like
you've-
it's probably at least 2 years. Maybe
it
less.
probably is. Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's
I
not
don't know.
leaking. So
It's not leaking.
Awesome.
And there was no damage that I know of, so y'all don't have to freak out.
Christy just called me into the kitchen the other day. She's like, "Come in." And
no.
there's just water pouring out of our ice machine.
No.
And I think what happened is some ice cubes just got lodged in there and they melted. And then when we opened the door, I don't know,
Okay.
the
so it wasn't
dam
like,
broke and we just had a little bit of water.
Yeah, I have that because my kids get ice and drop ice all over the floor and then just like, dad'll pick that up. It's just and what happens is I walk on it with my socks.
Oh my goodness.
And that's the worst thing ever. So, anyways.
Well,
It's
that's
fine.
why I'm surprised you haven't learned this yet. You wear slippers. The slippers are always on, even when I sleep.
Really?
No.
Anyways, appliances. The joke here is, if you've been a budget nerd for a long time, I created an appliances category and did not fund it, like stubbornly. I just wouldn't fund it. Now it gets $25 a month, which has been enough for repairs and new appliances. So probably could use a little more, but I think that's fine. It's been working. So yeah, actually, I think I just spent something. Oh, no, I didn't. I'm trying to see the last time I spent. Oh, in December, I spent $280. Oh, because we bought a new stove hood. That's a random thing.
Okay.
The little vent for the stove broke, so we bought a new one, and didn't have to think twice about it.
Love
I had an
that.
appliances category. Very nice. Auto maintenance, pretty straightforward there. Batteries.
Yeah, this is one of the most fascinating categories. Remind me again, what?
Okay, batteries used to be in sundries, but batteries are so expensive. Like, they're just, it's like a $20 or $30 hit every time you buy some double A's, right?
I feel that, yes.
So, and we got a big family. Everybody, I know there's rechargeable batteries, guys. Everybody's gonna yell at me about rechargeable batteries.
No.
I have too many things.
Yes.
I have too
No.
many things to charge in my
Ben,
life.
I am not going to ever yell at you for rechargeable batteries. They are a pain. And
I
when you have
know.
kids, they're impossible with kids.
I know.
If you have well-adjusted adults in the home, it can work. Otherwise, no. It's not a question.
It's wasteful, but I can't have any more charging things. There's too many charging things. I actually have it on my budget meeting items, which is a list of things to talk about with Caitlin that I keep throughout the month to buy. It says charging solution for Chromebooks, because all my kids have a Chromebook they do schoolwork on, and I'm just like, we need a home for it, because there's just cords everywhere, and they put the Chromebook on the I've been complaining about the kids a lot. I do love my children.
Yeah, people know that, but we need this is a free space, judgment free.
Well, I keep telling them you leave the Chromebook on the floor and somebody's gonna step on it and break it. Anyway,
But the batteries, that is no joke. I mean,
oh yeah.
so
So anyways, they're so expensive, and they would always overwhelm the sundries category. Every time and this is one of those things where you separate it and you realize really what I'm doing is I need more money, right?
yes,
Because the solution would, an obvious solution would be well, if the batteries are overwhelming the sundries category, just increase the sundries category. But it was confusing to me because I would have more in there, but like I'm not thinking about the battery situation. And so like I might spend it, anyways, sundries is one of those categories that can grow. The spending can grow as you increase the category, right? So anyways, created a separate batteries category. I put in, let me see what I do. I put in $7.50 a month for batteries, and it is smooth sailing, man. This was a temporary experiment that I am not going back on. I love it.
Yeah, then you can buy batteries without being super crabby. I love
exactly. I love buying batteries now. It's a joy.
My boys just went to the rechargeable battery Xbox controllers, and oh my goodness, that has made a massive difference.
Oh,
so no longer do we have dozens of batteries just laying around the family room that I have to pick up.
For controllers, you gotta do that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because they go quick. And plus, you always got to have the next one ready right away because you're in the middle of Rocket League or something. And yeah, it's important.
That was way too much time on batteries, but I think we both needed that.
You get it, though.
That's been building up, yeah.
Bessie boarding. So this is to board her. Yeah, you can see the snowboard. I thought it was very funny when I did that, and I appreciate the laugh.
Funny. That is genuinely funny. I just imagine your dog on a snowboard going down the hill.
Yeah, exactly. So this is to board her when we travel. Although now almost all the time my sister watches Bessie when we travel, and we watch her dog when she travels. So it's a very even trade. So that hasn't been used as much. I think we'll probably end up wrapping that into travel at some point because it's not really needed anymore. I think occasionally we'll end up boarding her when my sister can't watch the dog, but it's pretty infrequent. So I think we'll end up wrapping that up pretty soon. Bessie Vet. So vet bills. I actually have done the pet insurance thing now. The vet insurance.
You didn't have that before?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think I tried it. I think I considered it pretty heavily for a while. But yeah, for about a year now, we've done the pet insurance. I mean, it's okay. Like, I'm not sure we're getting our money out of it, but it's insurance. So it's more for catastrophic things. And like I said, we got a big old dog. She's still there. She's still sleeping. And, the bigger the dog, the bigger the expense. So I think, toward the end of her life, it's going to be real expensive probably. So I think we'll cash in on the pet insurance then. So,
well, it took us about 2.5 years before we saw a single penny back from pet insurance. So
yeah, I kind of wish we had it when we first got her because there were several little surgeries she needed because of just weird things. But yeah. So we put enough money in there to cover pet insurance and a little extra. So it builds up when we need it. So that's nice. Car replacement, which we talked about recently.
You got a new van.
Got the new van. So that is showing a big old spike in the bar chart on that category and then nothing again for a long time. So,
and are you going to turn around and start funding them for the next one?
I actually increased it. I think we were doing $150 and now I'm doing $200 a month. So yeah, I'm anticipating needing a new car for my because I got a 2005 Cadillac, and I mean it'll probably last a long time, but I'm just anticipating in the next 5-10 years might need that. And then my daughter's 12, so I don't know if
seriously.
I don't know if we're gonna get her a car. That seems super bougie to me.
Well, it could be because when's the next one?
Right, because
it could just be a car for all the kids.
A teenage car. Yeah, well, it's really cute. You'll see later. Flora has my oldest. She has a little category to save for a car, which is really cute. Anyways, you'll see it. You'll see it in a minute because the name of it is really adorable. Anyways, we'll go on there. Okay, Christmas, obvious. It's just for Christmas. We save that for that all year around. Family pictures. This is a really nice one because we like to do family pictures every 18 months or so. It's not every year, but not every 2 years. It's around the middle there, and it's just nice to have that because it's a big expense to have a professional photographer. But we just think it's important. So we set money aside for it every month. Haircuts, lots of haircuts flying around. Home improvement. So this is anything that's more like decor, like just improving the home, but not like maintaining the home. There's a weird distinction between home improvement and home maintenance, but I think you get it, right? You kind of get the vibes. It's more
totally.
like pictures and maybe paint and things like that.
Right. When I go to Menards, that's home maintenance.
Yeah. If you go to Michael's, that's home improvement, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so that's kind of the vibe there. Other taxes, really, I think I've categories for almost everything. The last time I used this, I think, was for a speeding ticket. So I called it other taxes, even though it's not really a tax. But this is just kind of, I also do I do tax preparation software, so I'll pay for it with that. So that's kind of a thing there. Pool supplies. This is saved up for all year round. And then in the summertime, we buy our supplies from there, which could include anything from a giant blow up unicorn seat to bleach for the pool, for chlorine for the pool. Right. So there you go. Job loss fund we talked a lot about in the last episode.
Just talked about that. Yeah.
And I used to call this the prudent reserve for a long time. Before that, it was my emergency fund. You can see it still has emergency fund vibes with the emojis, with the lightning and the alarm or the siren there.
Totally.
I should probably change those emojis now that I'm calling it a job loss fund. It's something very specific, right?
Yeah. Make it a little gentler as well. A little softer.
Yeah. So yeah, I might think about that. School fees is so nice, guys. This is another one of those, like the batteries, that just comes up and it doesn't like really have a good category, and it just annoy me all the time. I used to put it on kids stuff, right? But then kids stuff would get used up by some random, field trip or something like that. So now I have a school fees category. I put money into it every month, and when it comes up, I just pay it. So that's nice to have for sure. Technology is actually not for big things. Like if I'm saving up for like a new phone or a new computer, that gets its own category and I save up in there, and then it rolls up into technology. But for like monthly spending, it's like HDMI cables or like little chargers or, things like that.
Yeah. All those chargers for those Chromebooks.
Exactly. Right. And then we have vacations and travel, which I don't know why we have a distinction between those, but, there you go. So pretty easy there. And that's another thing. Like this is, if we're going on like a short trip, we'll use money that just sits there. If we're saving for a particular larger family vacation or something, we'll save for that in a separate category. Then it gets wrapped up into this travel category. So
okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
We're nearing the end. It looks like we have 3 groups left.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're basically at the end here now. Okay. So then we got childcare. This used to be, I think, the first time we went through these categories for me, this used to be a pretty complex category group because I had a nanny and we paid taxes for the nanny.
That's right.
We withheld money for her taxes, all sorts of stuff. It was almost like a little business category group. Now we don't have the nanny anymore because I only have one that's not in public school. So it's a lot simpler. And we have 3 categories for this. We got preschool, which is just obvious. We pay monthly for preschool, but we actually save all year round. So even when he's not in school and not paying, I still save for it.
Makes sense. Just divide by 12. Keep it simple.
Divide by 12. Exactly. So that's nice. Kid camps. So in the summertime when they're off school, we send them to camps almost every week. And this is like where I feel like I'm a fancy rich person, like saving money to send them to camps. It's never like overnight camps, but they're just like day camps. So it's like half, it's half like enrichment for them over the summer and half childcare, just because we still got to work. So, we'll send them to all sorts of stuff. The big thing is climbing camp. We have a climbing gym in town. They love it. So we're sending them there like I think 3 weeks. Yeah, it's funny. We're sitting here in January and we're already planning camps because registration opens and you got to jump on it.
Yep. And you got to get on it fast.
Yes.
I remember those days.
The first year was a nightmare because we decided to not have a nanny because our nanny moved on. We were like, okay, we're not going to hire somebody for like 2 months in the summer. But we had to find some childcare. So we were like registering for camps and like so much was full. So now we save for it all year and start registering for camps in January. So there you go. And then we have parents helper, which used to be called mother's helper, but I didn't like that because I'm also a parent.
There we go, Ben.
We have a young woman in our neighborhood who takes care of Gil, our youngest, when he's not at camp. Because a lot of his camps are like a half day thing, but we still work all day. So she takes care of him a lot of days. And so the summer childcare is just kind of a hodgepodge of lots of things. And so that covers that. So we save for that all year round as well. So there you go.
All right.
And then we have, okay, yeah. So this is again, snapshot in time. So we have a goals category group and a goals funded category group. So goals are things, it's kind of like our wish farm. It's just like things that we want to save for, that we just want to keep top of mind. And so we put it there. And then once we fund it, I put it into the goals funded category group because sometimes we fund something, but we don't actually buy it for a while.
You sit on the money for a bit.
Or, well, it's either like intentional sit on it, or it's like we need to do some research before we can buy this thing.
Okay.
And sometimes it takes a little while. So I put it into the funded category group. I haven't used this quite as much lately, I think because I have that larger margin. So there's not as much, I'm not like saving regularly for these random things. It's more like, okay, do I want to completely fund these things? Unless it's a bigger thing. But coming up, like summer vacation 2026, that'll be several months of savings we usually go to the Outer Banks for the summer with the family. So that's really fun. Bed frame. Our bed we're still on like the little metal bed frame, and it's like kind of janky. And we were like, why don't we be adults and get a proper bed? So
Totally. Yep.
So set money aside for that. A new water heater because
Those are fun.
I think it was in Budget Nerds, we were talking to somebody. I don't know how this came up, but I realized that my water heater might explode at any moment because you're supposed to replace them like every 8 years. And I've been in this house for 10 years and it's still the same water heater.
Well, it's not like it's just going to hit the end of its life and explode. There'll be other
I'm pretty
signs.
sure that's how it works. I think it just explodes.
They are terrifying, though. I'm with you on that one. They've always terrified me.
I set that up like the beginning of the summer, but then the car took over everything. So that did not get funded. In fact, I think we funded it and then I removed that money to buy the car. So so I think it needs like $1,500 for all told.
And I think Jesse had some issues with a water heater.
Yeah.
Within
I'm just
the year.
amazed I've never had a problem. So it's a good water heater, but and we probably need a bigger one too, just because the person before, it was only one person in the house before us, and now we have 6. So it's like, yeah.
Oh man! And once you get those teenage showers, like, you're probably gonna need 2.
I am anticipating that as well. So yeah, and there's often not enough hot water to go around. So that is a thing. One kid takes a bath, one kid takes a shower, next kid takes a shower. It's cold.
Yep.
So you know how it goes. Babysitting courses. Oh, this is kind of cute. So my daughter she's about to turn 12. And she is getting to the age of doing some babysitting. And so we were like, oh, what if we got her like a course where she could like learn child CPR and, basic stuff like that and like how to run a little business. And so we set money aside for that. Thought about doing it last summer, but she was a little too young. So I think we're going to do it soon. So that'll be good. And then garden stuff is a thing for Caitlin. She's the gardener in our family. She's always got stuff she wants to do. So we're setting money aside for that as well.
Love it.
There you go.
So are those getting actively funded every month? Like, are they a part of the cost to be me?
No, they are not.
Okay, so you
those
approach
don't get a target.
You approach it very similar to what I do.
Yeah, if they do have a target, it's like a no date target. It's just like we know the total amount. And when we have the budget meeting, we have that extra money in margin. We distribute it to these kinds of categories. So that's how it works. All right. So it's just as we can fund it, we do it. And then I got 3 category groups for allowances. So that's the way I handle this.
Yeah, because you had that big catch-all allowance category.
Yeah.
So you put it there and then redistribute it here?
Yeah, this is very nerdy. I have a recurring transaction that has a 0 sum. So like there's nothing in the outflow column. And what it does is it removes money from the main allowances category and distributes it to their individual allowance categories. And it's like it's like 13 line items long. It's really fun.
And when does that fire? Like on the 2nd of every single month?
Every Saturday it fires.
Oh, every Saturday. Okay.
Yeah. So in that way. And then like we have some like punishment stuff. Like if you don't do this thing, then you lose your allowance. So, or lose like $1 off your allowance, right? Or something like that. So, we will, like, for example, if Flora gets below like a 70 on one of her grades, she loses $1 on her allowance. Like,
okay.
Which is a big deal to her, right? You got to find things to motivate, right?
Yep, totally.
So we have that. And I'll take that out of that and put it back to the allowance category. And then I have a top up thing. So it just kind of flows really well. And so these are my 3 oldest. My son Gil doesn't have an allowance category yet because he's only 3. But yeah, so they're spending money, which is like the ready to assign for them. And I also put money into a giving category every month. So like I tell them they get $5 a week for allowance, but one of those dollars goes into a giving category just to kind of, tell them, hey, this is a cadence in your life. You're always going to be giving money to other people. And then they create categories for their own stuff. So they're often saving for things. And it's so funny. They all have their personalities, right?
Yeah.
Flora is just, she always wants to like go to Starbucks and spend it, like she's always wanting to spend it on like snacks and foods and stuff like that. And she rarely saves for anything, although she does have the teenage me category, which I think is the cutest name. This was her idea. That. She's saving for a car, which
teenage me.
She does $2 a month into the car category, or $2 a week.
Well, hey, it's a start.
It's a start. I did ask her, I was like, how much do you think a car costs? And she was like, $700. I'm like, no. But maybe the car we get you will cost $700.
She's focusing on the process, building that consistent habit.
I say that. I donated my old van because it was like not worth it was not worth trying to sell my stuff, and it sold at auction for $750. So I mean, I guess technically
okay,
but it would have cost $3,000 to fix up. So there's that. But anyway, but I just think the teenage me cat, she's so excited about being a teenager, and I think it's cute. And then Teddy will save for things all the time. He's very intentional about what he wants. They also get money from like my parents. And my sister too, actually, will give them little jobs to do and overpay them massively. So
that's the thing. I remember
they spoil them, right?
My boys having all this money. I'm like, I never had this much money as a kid, ever. This is crazy.
So that money goes into their spending categories, and then they can move it around. So he doesn't have any categories yet, but it does. He does often have several kind of things he's saving for. Josie, my third youngest, third oldest, I guess, she just never spends anything ever. She cried so much. So she's 6. She cried so much about it because her older 2 siblings were getting an allowance and she didn't get an allowance because I was like, when she was 4 or 5, I was like, you're a little too young. So I was like, fine, you can have allowance. And then she just never spent it ever. So she had like $70 in that category just sitting there. I was like talking to her about like, what do you want? And she wanted a pair of Heelys. So we just bought a pair of Heelys for $40. So that came out of there. So there you go. But I think as she gets older, she'll start saving out of there. So there you go.
Nice. Well, I mean, that's a pretty simple system for the younger kids. I think that's the way it should be.
Yeah, it makes sense. I just hold on to it. As Flora gets older, we might create her own plan at some point, especially if we ever get her a phone, which is a thing. She wants to get her phone because she wants us to get her a phone so bad. And I'm like, no, that's a whole world.
Oh, my goodness.
So we have not gotten her a phone. But if she ever did, that might be the point when we set her up with her own plan in YNAB. But for now, I just keep it in a widget on my phone. Those 3 spending money categories, so they can ask me how much they have anytime, and I can tell them. So it's pretty easy.
Nice. Well,
so there you go.
There we have it.
Categories.
90, right? 90 categories? Is it
93?
93
I think total
categories, and you're dialed in. And that's the benefit of being a long-term YNAB user. You get you're so zeroed in.
Yeah.
On what you need your money to do.
Batteries.
Right.
It's just like, I don't want to have to worry about it. Like, I don't want to have to like think about it all the time. Like it just gets rid of the money worry. Just create the category. It's okay, and see how you like it. If it causes more work for you, you can always take it away. But there's always experimenting a little bit, changing things up sometimes. Although for big changes, I often say I'm going to change it and then I don't. So we'll see.
That's all right.
Maybe next time it'll be a lot more because I actually will separate those subscriptions. So
we'll see about that,
We'll
Ben.
see.
All right, friends. Well, what do you think of Ben's categories? We'd love to hear your comments. Either email us, budgetnerds@ynab.com, or share them in the YouTube video. But before we let you go, we got to share a couple more YNAB wins.
Let's do it.
You wanna make it.
All right. I have the first one from Toxin is the username, wrote in on the common mistakes episode from a while back. And this one's a serious one. So just to warn you, they said, my YNAB win is recovering after the passing of my wife in December. Because of YNAB, I was able to very quickly get my money in order and plan for the expenses I would have. I was able to make it through without any stress from being uncertain about my money, which was such a huge relief. And since I've been able to quickly adjust my budget to meet my new circumstances and make a plan that lets me start exploring new hobbies and interests now that I'm not spending my time being a caregiver for my sick wife. Wow. That's wonderful. I'm so sorry for your loss, but I'm glad that money worry didn't have to be a part of it, right? You were able to make a new life. And I'm glad YNAB could help you with that. I'm sorry for your loss, but that sounds like things are looking good. You're making a new normal for yourself, and that's great.
Yeah. My win comes from Kristen M. Kristen emailed us a long time ago, I'm sure. Was just watching the latest podcast on YouTube and thinking, these are my people. When I realized I never shared the win that turned me into a YNAB evangelist. A few months ago, I was meeting a friend for lunch after work, and between driving home and leaving for the restaurant, my car died. Ended up just needing a new battery, but between the tow, the inspection, and the repair, it was over $400 that I hadn't expected to pay that day. Thanks to YNAB and a fully funded auto maintenance category, my only concern was the inconvenience.
There you go. Love that.
I love that because, it could be a super stressful situation. Like, I wasn't expecting this to happen today of all days, but it just becomes an inconvenience because you got the money side of things taken care of. So awesome.
That's right.
Congratulations, Kristen. And you are amongst your people here. So good to have you.
Indeed. You're not alone.
If you have a YNAB win, email us YNAB or budgetnerds@ynab.com. Otherwise, share your win in the YouTube video and we'll share it probably within the next year.
All right. Well, thanks so much. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Happy YNABing.